Hello. It looks like we are live. Hey, Kelly, how's it going? Hey,
Hello.
Kelly. Oh, yep.
Everything's frozen.
Oh, well, you look like you're moving to me. Let's see. Is anyone out there? Is anyone watching? If so, say hello. Say where you
Oh,
are.
there's some things they see. They're seeing things, but
Yeah. Tell us where you are. Maybe tell us about if you're with a pup dog, with a puppy. Yet to see a comment besides I see. Oh, whoa. Okay, there we go. All right. Hello from Sweden, Alexandria, Virginia. Anne Marie, like your recall and healing session, the best of all today. Oh, thanks, Anne Marie. And
hey,
hi from Spain. Hi from Baddock NS. I don't even know what the NS stands
what's
for
it?
there.
What's an S?
Yeah,
An
Puerto
S.
Rico, Colombia.
Oh,
All
there's
right,
Jacqueline,
now we've got an audience.
Ontario, Nova Scotia. Nova Scotia.
Ooh, oh yeah,
Maybe.
yeah. Good
I'm
guess.
guessing. All right.
Sharon,
Yay!
Sharon in Arizona,
Yukon.
getting a new puppy next month. Very exciting. You're in the perfect
Awesome.
place right now. We've got
New
Abigail from
Mexico.
Albuquerque.
Canadians.
All right.
Peace,
Well,
ponies, and patriots. Hi from Norway. Oh, this is fun. Everywhere. Okay, well, we can get started.
so
So,
this is right. This is our day one puppy training wrap up and Q&A. So we're going to start with a quick little wrap up. I'm just going to talk a little bit about our presentation for the day, and then we're going to go over to some questions from you, our live audience, and Kelly, our super puppy expert. So for anyone who doesn't know, I'm Jamie Dunbar, and this is Kelly Dunbar from
hello.
Dunbar Academy and Serious Puppy Training. So today, puppy training. What a wonderful day in the summit. The presentations were fantastic, as you would imagine, because it was about puppy training. Everyone loves puppy training.
So fun. Such a
Yeah.
fun topic.
So fun and so powerful, especially when it comes to creating good household habits, shaping temperament, and building confidence. So the first presentation we had was Ian's, and he started us off with 6 basic reward-based training techniques. Really laid a good foundation of dog training theory, and really kind of dived into the different types of reward training techniques and their different uses. A lot of people these days understand reward training is the way to go, but they don't necessarily understand there's a lot of different ways to do that. So if you haven't already, check out Ian's presentation for a real good explanation about the different reward training techniques. Then we have Teoti's presentation, Tips for Puppy House Training Success. And she did a phenomenal job of breaking down the process of house training a puppy, which is really probably the most important part of training a puppy, because if you don't house train that puppy, you're going to be in for a world of, frustration, heartache. And while the core concepts are simple, the devil's in the details. And Teoti did a great job of kind of breaking down those concepts. So when you run into trouble, when you run into pitfalls, you're going to be able to come up with your plan B and figure things out. So if you haven't already, check out Tips for Puppy House Training Success. Then, of course, we have Kelly's presentation, Recalls and Healing, which was, I think, a really wonderful way. And maybe I'm a little biased since I edited this presentation together and was there for the filming, but I thought it was a really cool way to see progression on some skills while training a dog, or in this case, a puppy. So Kelly was working on teaching Eve both following and recalls, and these videos were taken over the course of multiple weeks. So we broke it down into 5 different stages, starting with the super simple, introductory exercises, but by the end, having incorporating sits, collar grabs, distractions, distance, all the good stuff, trying to phase out food, trying to reduce food rewards. So if you haven't already, Kelly's presentation, Recalls and Healing, also fantastic. And finally, Amanda's presentation, Puppy Classes, Why Off Leash, also fantastic, also dear to our hearts. I don't know if you all know, but the Dunbars got their start with puppy training classes. So that's where we made our name. And a lot of people know the puppy classes are really important, but they don't know what makes a good puppy class good and what sets a good one apart from the rest. You can't just throw a bunch of puppies together in a room, and call it a day. You've got to incorporate training, being off leash, and having some structure, all very important. So Amanda's presentation, really useful for anyone who's thinking about running a puppy class as an instructor, or attending a puppy class as a student, or even trying to replicate some of the benefits of a puppy class at home. Any of those people would benefit from checking out this presentation. So that was day one. Now we're going to hand it off for questions. So if you have questions, put them here in the comments, and we will answer them. So let's see. Now that I'm done yammering on, let me take a look at the comments. All right, I see one question. How long do each of these stages would you say these take for you? And I assume we're talking about the 5 stages of healing and recalls that Kelly did. But unfortunately, we seem to have lost Kelly's connection. But fortunately, I was there while we produced those videos. So I can say, oh, okay, Kelly's back. All right. So
Hi.
the first question I was going to ask you was about how long would you say each of those stages took with the puppy training, the puppy recalls, and the puppy following? How long were we working on that?
For Eve? Sorry, I had a terrible, terrible connection before I crashed out. I don't know why, but this seems so much smoother. So if I was sitting there going like this, it's because I couldn't hear anything. I could only read the comments. How many? I mean, the sessions, the segments were all done pretty quickly and fluently. And Jamie's gone. I don't know what happened to him.
I think that's on purpose.
Oh, okay.
I think that's so you can talk.
Oh, okay. So I mean, it depends. Like developmentally, the puppies change day by day, week by week. So this is meant to be done in quick succession, however, without rushing, right? You developmentally, your puppy is where they are, but ideally you're working on these things every day, and you should be able to move pretty quickly. I would say at a minimum week by week. We did all of the segments in a 3.5-week period with Eve, I think. So yeah. We didn't even spend a week per session, because if they get something, if your puppy understands what you're doing and you're getting workflow, move on right away. Don't people tend to move on either too quickly or too slowly. Either they just try something once and then move to the next level without mastering it, or they just they're going too slowly and practicing because it's comfortable and it's working. So you got to find that balance in there. But I would say it's not about how much time you're taking, but it is about how much time you're taking because it's puppies. But 3 sessions per segment, 3 to 6 sessions per segment, depending on how often you're working, would be probably best. I would move forward with Eve every 3 to 4 days, basically.
All right.
Good question.
Yes. Okay, here's another one from Sandra. She says, help, my puppy is training me. Well, that's a common issue. But can you give me advice about an 8-week-old pup barking at me for chicken when she does something I have trained her to do, but without my asking?
He's barking at you. I'm sorry, I don't.
So the puppy is doing the things that the owner has trained them to do. The owner didn't ask in this case, and then the puppy's barking for chicken.
Oh, demand barking.
So it's like, hey, I did the thing you taught me how to do. Now give me a reward. So
yeah, that's a very eager learner. So that's a good thing. With a puppy like that is probably a very quick study. You might be moving. That might be a hint that you're going too slowly with the learning and pushing up to the next level. So you can probably add more distractions, more distance, more duration to any of the exercises that you're doing faster. And or the opposite could be true, which is you are moving through things quickly and not doing enough of the settling into each exercise. So, for instance, to address the first part of that, if you've been doing, let's say, puppy push-ups, I'm just going to pick something, sit down, sit down, sit down, or sit down, stand, sit down, stand, sit down, stand for a long time, and your puppy knows it. it's now time to absolutely make sure that you are working on getting verbals only or adding duration to positions and with silence between them before moving on. So your puppy is just throwing things at you because you've become a reinforcement machine, which is good, but be careful of what you're reinforcing. Enthusiasm is great, but do wait in between, pause between each exercise, and make sure you get a moment of zipped lips and focus. So I would say sit, and then maybe you still do your hand signal, sit, and then good dog 1, good dog 2. Say this internally maybe, good, or just a quiet good. Puppy stops, yes, and then reward down, or good, and feed and down. So bring the energy down a little bit and ask for some focused pauses in between. If your puppy is demand barking, out of enthusiasm, wait it out and get that quiet moment first. Maybe I wouldn't even work on any specific cues. I would just work on calm 4 on the floor behaviors with zipped lips and just start extending that silence. It's a good problem to have, but keep the challenge up, but keep the challenge up by insisting upon a criteria that includes focus and silence.
All right. Excellent. How about this question from JP? My pup is 22 weeks old. She missed out on puppy-to-puppy socialization during the window due to general COVID reluctance. What can I do now since my puppy gets too excited during play?
So if you're talking about play, it sounds like you're talking about play with other dogs. Correct me if I'm wrong here.
About the puppy-to-puppy socialization.
Oh, puppy-to-puppy socialization. Oh, well, short and sweet. I would do a lot of passive stuff at this age. This is also the most kind of spazzy age that dogs can be. 5 months is the beginning, where they ramp up. 6 months, 7 months, oh my goodness. 9 months, oh my goodness. So, it's a rough time to introduce that kind of thing. I would not worry about making sure my dog can play with every dog in the world. I'd pick a few friends, preferably a few more mature dogs, if possible, that are friendly and dog savvy, and work on some social skills in those, with those dogs. But at this age, you're entering adolescence. I would work more on personal engagement with you around other dogs before I would add a ton of play back in, so you don't end up with a Looney Tunes that just thinks play, play, play. So that means going to a park, staying outside of the main park area, and getting your dog to play tug with you, or a little game of fetch online, hand targeting, spinning, twisting, sitting pretty, tug. Make it super active and fun, but keep it centered on you in the presence of dogs at a slight distance. I would go on parallel walks with other dogs and do little downstay circles and placemat things with other dogs, more than I would focus on play. And then you have little play interludes, just like you would in puppy class, where it's more like 30 seconds of interacting, sniffing, barely getting warmed up, and then take a break, reward here with me, go back in until you can gradually open that window up to 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes of play, calling them out. I wouldn't let them get ramped up and just play at this stage. And if they're not even ready for that, and they just get overly exuberant and kind of frustrated and excited and squeaky and lunging at the end of the leash when they see another dog, create some distance, up your engagement, and try to find some dogs to do some parallel walks with, where it's a long kind of, I wouldn't say boring, but not super highly aroused environment where they're playing together.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody asked about Amanda's class. I just want to, it's a really quick question. Sorry to interrupt Jamie there. But the age group of puppy class puppies, I don't know the age group of the puppies in Amanda's exact class there. But usually, at least with Sirius, what we recommend, which is what a lot of people do, is puppy class is for puppies 12 to 18 weeks. Sometimes it's 10 to 16 weeks. You do want to catch them as young as possible, but also allow dogs in right before they hit adolescence, so they can kind of bridge that gap. But we do separate out. We have a puppy kindergarten that's for puppies for 8 to 12 weeks of age, where it's more like kind of parallel play. They don't really play with each other when they're that little so much, but they're around each other and they learn how to ignore other dogs, and just be in the presence without it being a big deal. And then as they get older, they start learning how to play. And then 12 weeks, we go put them into the fray with the elementary school kids, that are almost going up to junior high. And so usually that's the range. As soon as they have half of a canine in their gums, adult canine coming in, they're starting adolescence, and you want them to at least have had, a week or two of puppy class under their belt at that point, if possible.
Before I ask you the next question, I just wanted to show off my T-shirt because you mentioned our Sirius puppy training classes, and a couple days ago, Sirius celebrated its 40th birthday. This is the T-shirt we made.
Oh, that's right.
10 years ago when we had a big party to celebrate our 30th. But obviously, we're not having a party this year, but got big plans for 10 years from now. The 50th party is going to be big. But all right, how about this question from Sharon P? How best to introduce a new puppy to a cat and dog?
Okay, you've got an existing cat and dog in the household. You've got a young puppy coming in. The puppy, it should happen kind of just naturally, because what you're going to do with your puppy is have an X pen and some tethering time and some leash time. And, I find that the adult animals appreciate when the puppy is confined, where they can go and sniff and maybe choose to be near them. Making sure that the adult cat especially has a place to go that the puppy can't reach. Their food and litter box should be either behind a gate that the puppy can't get through to, but the cat can, or up higher on a shelf or something for the food, so that the adults can kind of decide when they want to interact. I like the long, passive, slow introduction for the most part. I often will hold a puppy on my lap. This is, presumably you're just bringing a new puppy home, and let the resident animals come and sniff the new puppy while they're sitting with me. Often I put bum first so they can smell the puppy without getting bitten. But you'll find a young pup is usually going to be pretty appropriate with adult dogs, as long as it's under maybe 12 weeks of age. After that, they might be in an exuberant, confident stage, and may have to do more active supervision with leashes and stuff. But keep it short and sweet. Make sure your adult animals are getting plenty of time without the puppy attention from you. Puppies sleep a lot. That's a good thing. It's a good time to get some lap time with your kitty, or take your adult dog and do some of your favorite activities, go for walks and such.
That kind of segues into Angela's question, which I think is kind of similar, about pups that play rough with adults. The adult dog is small and really not happy about playing. So managing the puppy playing with a smaller adult dog.
You definitely have to manage that, because even a playful swat or splat could crush a puppy and break something. I don't know exactly the size difference you're talking about, but if the puppy isn't enjoying it, they're going to learn to be defensive.
I think the puppy's enjoying it. It's the adult dog is smaller and doesn't enjoy it.
Okay.
So the senior dog that's been in the house for a while is like displeased about this new puppy.
Well, say kind of the same answer. Like you definitely intervene. Puppy does not just come in and get all the access to all the house and sweet freedom galore. Right? They have to be supervised. They have to be penned, tethered, whatever it may be. Make sure your adult dog has a place to go, or the puppy can't go, and just let them be, but don't let them be all the time. Ideally, initially, maybe they're spending time when your puppy's a little spent, after playtime, or quiet chew times where you're sitting on the floor with one on one side and one on the other, or your little dog in a cute bed next to you, and your puppy on a tether but chewing a nice toy next to you, and keeping your puppy occupied. So there's a lot of passive interaction, a lot of passive time together. Timeouts and tethers for harassing an adult small dog that can't maybe defend themselves. I wouldn't allow that. I would intervene by stepping in between them, by leashing the puppy and walking them away, putting them in their pen, 3 strikes you're out kind of thing, and interrupting, poor interactions on behalf of the elderly or smaller dog. Oh.
All right. So we've got 2 questions here that are basically the same. Nick and Lauren are both asking, Can we use the come and heal process for older dogs as well as puppies? Lauren is asking specifically about using it with like a 6-year-old dog. But I think, they're talking about your presentation with healing and following and recall training with Eve, the puppy.
And I would say yes, you can absolutely do that. The process is going to be both faster and slower. Your puppies absorb things very quickly, and they have no preconceived ideas or notions, and you are absolutely their whole world when they're puppies. So you can get a lot of bang for your buck and teach them pretty quickly. Adult dogs obviously are cognitively more advanced and able to grasp the concepts very quickly. However, they have other habits, perhaps, maybe even some history of ignoring certain behaviors or avoiding certain behaviors. They certainly have more of a broad scope of the world, and therefore maybe some distractions will be a bigger problem. But otherwise, yes. I mean, everything we do with Eve in that course is basic lure reward training and some classical conditioning and some counter conditioning and desensitization, which are valid methods that I use for all dogs. I start with hand touches and getting a nice solid nose to hand behavior, and teaching them to target your hand wherever it is, and then teaching them to keep their nose with your hand until you release them. And then at that point, you've got like a tool, right? Your hand is your tool for targeting. You can target the hand at your side. You can target it in front to come. You can definitely teach them, by the same methods. They will pick it up, maybe not as fast, but once they get it, it'll be solid faster. Because you won't have to go through all the puppy phases of development, but you will probably have to work a little harder on old habits and distractions. You might want to change words if you've had your dog for all these years. Let's say you've had the dog for 6 years and you've always kind of said, "Fluffy, come," and Fluffy walks the other way and goes away. Or if the dog has a history, maybe not even in your household, of being punished for a certain word, Fluffy, come, and punishment just means the dog doesn't like it. It doesn't have to be vicious. If Fluffy, come has always meant you come and get into the crate and we're going to leave for work for the day, don't use those same words. Maybe you find some new fun words and some new energy to bring to your training.
All right, so this next one is barely a question, but Deb wrote 10-week-old puppy and biting, but I feel like it wouldn't really be a comprehensive puppy Q&A if you didn't talk about puppy biting.
10-week-old puppies bite. That's for sure. And it's actually one of the more annoying phases at that point, because they're getting a little stronger, a little bigger. It's not so bad when they're 8 weeks old. Their jaws are weak and they kind of move slowly as they chew you. By 10, 12 weeks of age, ouch, it hurts. Part of it is you have to endure it to a degree. They're meant to bite, they're meant to practice. We have in our Essential Puppy course a whole segment on what to do, how to teach your puppy how to use their jaws gently when on human flesh, because you want them to learn that while we don't want them biting all the time, if they were to bite, they should be gentle. And this is why we have hypothesized that puppies have sharp teeth when they have weak jaws. So they get a lot of feedback from their moms, their litter mates, the other dogs in their social circle, and from their humans that, ouch, that hurts. You have to be gentle when you're using your mouth. And their mouth is a tool for communication for them, right? And the way that they explore the world. So you've got kind of toddler hands with teeth at this point. And so, toddler curiosity and toddler hands with teeth. So it's not that they can't explore, it's that you do want to put some parameters around it week by week or every few days, changing the intensity with which you allow them to bite. It's okay. It doesn't mean you have to sit there and be a human pincushion. You can certainly redirect your puppy to toys. I don't go anywhere without a Carcass. Jamie, do you have a Carcass? When I have a puppy, and I do like the Carcass, which is featured heavily in our new puppy course, the Essential Puppy Training course, because it fits in your pocket. It's a stuffy without stuffing. It's a little toy that you can pull out and play tug with or stuff in their mouth. And I kind of use the dog as a leash sometimes. I let them hold on one end and just like, come on with me. And
When
walk
you're
them
ready,
back
I'm
in.
ready for my Carcass demo.
And oh, you have a Carcass demo. Okay, let's go for it. Let's see your
Isaac,
Carcass demo.
you want to cut to me? All right. The beautiful thing about these Carcass chew toys is they're so easy to pull out of your pocket because they scrunch up. They don't take a lot of space. They don't have a lot of stuffing in them. So you can.
And is that a big Carcass? They make small ones too.
Yeah, this is the big
Okay.
one. And then you can open it
Yeah.
up, get your dog to tug on it, and then put it back away. And oh, where'd it go? Back to you, Kelly.
Yeah, I mean, I have they make different sizes. I use the small ones too, because a lot of puppies are smaller. Not that they can't handle the big one, but also because I can literally shove it like in a front pocket of jeans or a tiny like leggings pocket, and it's available. I have one in my purse sometimes. I've come out of a store and realized I have a Carcass and a bully ring and all sorts of interesting things in my purse sometimes. But something you can put in their mouth, teach them to carry and hold. Timeouts, again, three strikes are out. If the puppy's getting into that crazy wild phase where they're like just biting everything and coming at you no matter what, you can say ouch and let them know that hurt and freeze up. And if they go, oh, I'm sorry, and lick, okay, let's play again. And let them get a little aroused and then tell them, hey, that's too much. But if they aren't calming down, one thing, time out, put them in their pen, say, okay, we're not going to play right now. You need to chill out and settle down, because mostly what happens at that point, puppies are spun. Just like little kids, they get overtired. And if your puppy's a literal biting machine, it might be a certain type of breed, but more likely it's sleep deprived and overtired. So watch for the times of day when this happens. I bet you this happens at similar times of day on the regular, and maybe look at your schedule, see if your puppy needs a little more sleep. If not, maybe that is their time. That's their Zoomy time. And then in that case, we're going to actively play and train them as closely to that time frame as we can. You utilize the energy that they have when they have it, and direct them to toys. I like what they call it, flirt poles as well, where you've got it's got like a giant cat toy, or like a fishing pole with a toy on the end, and they can run and play a little bit. And something that your puppy needs to bite. They want to bite. So direct them to the right things, and also practice them not biting you hard every week, except slightly less pressure from your puppy's teeth, and end games when they bite too hard. But don't try to stop it completely. It will go away when they get their adult teeth in by 18 to 20 weeks of age. About 20 weeks of age, they don't even have most puppy teeth anymore, or any in some cases, and the big teeth don't hurt as much. So, and they also grow out of that phase. So it's something you kind of have to, it's part of puppyhood. It's part of owning a puppy, and put away your good clothes, manage your puppy, and make sure you have lots of chew toys and tongue toys all throughout the house.
All right, we've got a question from Carol, and I think this is a great example of what I was talking about earlier. Carol, if you haven't already, you should watch Teoti's presentation on potty training, on toilet training, house training. She asks, I'm
Teoti is
elderly.
a pro at that. Pro, let me tell you. I called her once when I had a puppy problem for puppy training. When I had a puppy client, and I was like, everything I've tried isn't working. I called Teoti.
Yeah, and now you can go straight to the source. So yeah, Carol, check out her presentation if you haven't already. Carol says, I'm elderly with a puppy on the second floor. How can I potty train when my body doesn't move very well in the morning?
Well, that's puppies in second floors, puppies in apartments. I've certainly done that back in the day a lot. It's a good question. I don't know if you have a small breed or a large breed. You only have a few weeks here where it's going to be urgent, where like expediency is going to be of the utmost importance. In that case, I might put a little doggy toilet, preferably with the appropriate substrate that you want your puppy to use outside, right near your front door or back door or whatever door you're going to be using for potty. Whether it's can you put it out on the landing? Do you have a little patio? Is there a back stairway that's outdoors? Something that is as close as possible to outside as you can get, and let your puppy do a quick little pee, especially first thing in the morning, right there before you go out. I would still go out. And maybe not even most puppies will pee twice in the morning, especially, you're in a hurry to get them out. You want to rush, but you can't possibly get dressed and get down the stairs, and they're wiggling and they probably have to go. So toilet area, and I would maybe just put a little X pen, or you can use a leash and hold your puppy on the toilet area, a little tray with a bright substrate or fake grass or something, or a little X pen around it like we do in the Essential Puppy course, so that there's like a little, literally just a one square of fake grass or whatever, or real grass or whatever, rocks, pebbles, whatever you want to use, and the puppy can't go anywhere but in that little pen. So at least they're getting used to the right substrate, and they're getting to go potty really quickly while you get ready to take them out into the world. And then when they go outside, reward profusely for the outdoor potty stuff. I'd still try to get 80% of your potty time outside if possible.
Okay, we've got a question kind of following up a little bit more on the puppy biting, but with a little more specifics. Amy asks, when my kids walk our 13-week-old puppy, she always bites their boots and pant legs, sometimes bites their legs. How do I correct this?
Yeah, that's a problem. It's a pain in the butt too. It happens a lot. Again, certain breeds are more prone to do it than other. Herding breeds, Shepherdie types, Collie types are likely to do that, but really any dog terriers will do it too. Little kids are smaller, they're easier targets, they move funny, they're fun, they probably react, and so it's a game to the puppy. But puppies will do that to adults as well. I mean, I've certainly a lot of puppies that'll bite at my shoes or feet. Answer is well, I mean, if your kids are walking, I don't know how old your kids are, is still to have a toy with you or with the kids. I mean, if the kids are super young, maybe the adults should do the walking and try to stop. Teach your kids to stop moving when that happens, and just play, be a tree. So nothing comes of it, no squeaking, no running, and just be a tree, freeze. When the puppy stops, reward them. Have your kids have kibble in their pockets or some kind of tasty treat in their pockets, and a little Carcass again. Have the puppy have a toy in their mouth. Have the kids walk them with the flirt pole for a little while. This is a short phase. If you don't allow it and you redirect it, you won't become a habit. And within a few weeks, your puppy will be targeting other things and looking out in the world and kind of outgrow this. But I like the idea of a flirt pole, that same kind of fishing pole kind of thing, with the kids walking with that, and they can kind of walk with the leash and with the toy. And or freezing and waiting for the puppy to stop, and feeding them profusely when they do. They can also drop some kibble as they're walking. If the puppy bites them, tell them, give it some kind of release word, or no reward marker, nope, release, stop, and throw some food on the floor. So the puppy learns when they say, hey, stop it, whatever word you choose, or no bite or no feet. Kibble rains from their hands to the floor, and the puppy learns to let go of things and look elsewhere for reinforcement when they do that. Depends on the age of the kids, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think anyone responded with the age. No, Amy hasn't responded, but let's move on to Karen's question. Moving on to a little bit, almost approaching an adolescent here, with suggestions for training a very, very spinny, hyper 5-month-old that really struggles with calm and focus, even after play or bucket emptying or nap time. Not exactly sure what bucket emptying is. Maybe that's a metaphor.
So,
but hyperactivity in a 5-month-old.
Chew toys, place work, calm work. You can throw, sometimes you have to abandon your agenda and just work on what the puppy is presenting, or the adolescent in this case. It might be this puppy's personality or breed type. It might be that a lot of the training was super fun and motivating, and there's a lot of movement, not unlike the puppy that we talked about earlier that is barking for attention and wants to, and is throwing behaviors, which is very enthusiastic, but also just they're moving too quickly. And sometimes it happens when we are trying really hard to make training fun. And again, sometimes it's just their personality. So I would forget things like sit down, stand, and come for a few weeks. And I would work on, if you're not already doing it, definitely feeding exclusively out of toys. Maybe save a third of that, not even a quarter of that, for that kibble or food for hand feeding in other ways. But I would get this puppy addicted to chew toys, calming chew toys, because we have passive and active chew toys, right? We have active toys that maybe it's a puzzle ball and they have to roll the ball around to get the food out. That's an enriching way to feed your dog, but it's also active. It doesn't settle them down. This is why we love Kong stuffing for feeding time, because the mush is inside the rubber toy. They have to lie down and hold it and learn to lick at it and learn to chill out for minutes at a time, several minutes at a time, to get the stuff out of their toy. And duration on your mat work, and duration at first might literally be half a second, 2 seconds. Don't try for 10 seconds. Don't try for 5. Don't try for 3. So on your mat, on your bed, good puppy, feed. And then for a dog like this, I might come in and feed with my hand versus tossing onto the bed. Lick mats where they're settling and they have to focus on licking something on their bed with tethering. And then just really acknowledging this calm behavior. Work on chill protocols. Make sure that your dog is getting downtime with you more than they're getting exercise time with you. So massage time, targeting time where they just have to use their brain and they're not moving very far. Scent work games where they just have to find something that's hidden in the same room. Piece of food, a toy, just easy finds so that they're having to hone in and focus versus movement, seeing movement as part of the big part of the reinforceable equation, because they're probably being self-reinforced by emotion too, depending on sounds like with that kind of personality.
All right. Let's see. Suzanne says, my 6-month-old Shih Tzu is a challenge, full of energy, rebellious. She runs from me every time I need to pick her up. I've resorted to throwing a blanket on her to catch her. I'm so frustrated. Sounds like, Suzanne, if you haven't already, you should take a look at the recall training in Kelly's presentation. But any other tips for this older dog?
Yes, 6 months isn't too old, but they are at their kind of most independent, willful, least impulse, most impulsive phase, not least impulsive phase. So, but you're on a scary path here. Avoidance in recalls is a very common problem, but it's one that can get worse pretty quickly and can be dangerous for the puppy if they think that instead of coming they should run and avoid. Because what if you need to stop them from running out the front door or out of the car or whatever it may be? Don't make it a game and don't make it adversarial. Take several steps back with your puppy. And I would go to hand feeding exclusively with this puppy versus the Kong and toy feeding with the other puppy that we just discussed. Whereas all food for, let's say, 2 weeks comes out of your hands. It could do longer. I'm just trying to make this achievable. And it's all for tiny little recalls. Literally start with when the puppy's calm right in front of you, and just pick a new word. Don't say come or whatever you have been saying. Pick a new word and just get your puppy used to coming and sitting in front of you from literally this far away, with a new word, and focus on the sitting and in front and focusing on you rather than the movement towards you, and then bring some movement in. There are a lot of in our recall presentation in this course, you will see a lot of the tips I have for beginning a recall with kind of a reflexive the goal of a reflexive recall, without them even thinking about it. Turning on a dime whenever they hear their name, for instance, the name game, use their name. And when you need to do something with your puppy that they don't like, remember, something punishing is just something that the puppy doesn't want to do. It could be going to bed, it could be going for a bath, it could be putting on a leash if you're out playing, whatever it may be. Don't call your puppy. Quietly, nonchalantly go and pick them up, and pick them up with a food treat in hand. Small dogs are more prone to this than large dogs because we pick them up so much. I mean, all puppies are small, but some big breeds, larger breeds, get heavy pretty quickly. So people stop picking them up, and people don't do that with little breeds. And so they kind of end up losing agency really early in life. And it's a very mild form of manhandling. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that you're in any way abusing your puppy or being cruel to your puppy, but we're grabby. We're apes. We're humans. We like to grab things. We pick them up. We hold them. We restrict them, and that's really rude in puppy world. And it's offensive. And it's imagine you're just kind of walking along and sniffing, or maybe you're interested in something that's on the ground, or you're chewing a toy or enjoying a nap, and somebody just comes and picks you up. It's startling. It's annoying. So I like to approach puppies and let them know that I'm coming. Just a little, hey, pup, come here. And offer my hand, offer a hand touch, get them to maybe come to me, take some food, put my arm underneath them as if I'm going to pick them up, and kind of test the waters, lift them a little bit while maybe luring or feeding them, so to counter condition that, feeding them, or to classically condition them really to enjoy being picked up. And if they're really resistant, I don't fight it. I take a step back and we say, okay, let's try this again. Come on, do you want to come up? And acknowledge that you're picking up a sentient being that may or may not want to be picked up at that point, and try to do so in a respectful manner. And this is, again, not against you. This is everybody. Picking up puppies and picking up small dogs. We're not very thoughtful about that, the way we do that. In the meantime, puppy could wear a long line when in the house, so that when you do need to catch her, you can just step on that and, again, nonchalantly reel the dog in without ever having to say anything or asking them to come to you. Come when called has to be fun. It's entirely voluntarily, because you only need it when you don't have your puppy. So you've got to make it the favorite thing to do and the most fun thing. I would reward it every single time, and I'd practice literally 50 to 100 times a day with the hand feeding, here and there throughout the day, with good consequences or no consequences. Or good consequence of feeding and rewarding, and then not always the consequence of being picked up or being put away or whatever it may be, or brushed, whatever it may be.
All right. I've got a question from Kay. I'm not sure about the age of this dog, but a rescue Chiweenie. Chews couch, chews pillows, bed, jumps on the table to steal food. She had a follow-up to say that she's tried putting this dog in the crate with chew toys, but then when the dog comes out of the crate, the dog stays away. And she's been trying this for 3 months. So I think she's feels like she's trying to do it with the chew toys in the crate, but it's not quite getting the result she's looking for.
Well, I mean, how old is did you say how old the
We
dog
just know
is?
it's a rescue Chiweenie, but maybe
Yeah,
Kay
so
will follow up.
I'm guessing he's an adolescent, and that they're in a chewing phase. And puppies people are used to puppies chewing things up because they don't know any better and because they're teething. But what they don't know is, around 9 months of age, they become chewing machines again. 7 to 9 months of age, they need to chew. They're non-discriminatory. They don't know what to chew and what not to chew. They just know that they like doing that as an activity. They might be doing it for fun. They might be doing it out of boredom. They might be doing it out of stress. We don't know. I don't know in this case. Pardon me. But
2 years old, by the way.
Oh, 2 years old.
2 years old.
Okay, so maybe it's a rescue. Maybe it's also a habit. Plus two is not so old. Feed out of the chew toys. I don't know if you're doing that. You said you're using chew toys. You're using the crate, but are you feeding exclusively out of chew toys again? So we're getting that licking action, rather than chewing on things all the time. Sounds like maybe still a little too much freedom. I don't know how long you've had the dog. Did you say 3 months? Or am I making that up?
Yeah, we've been working on it for 3 months, I think.
Okay, so that's pretty early if you just got the dog. They need time to learn new habits and to establish routines. Maybe instead of the crate, use an X pen or some tethering so the dog can be out free in the house and learning that. I mean, it's easy when they're in the crate to know, oh, I don't chew anything else in here. There's nothing else to chew but toys. But it's harder when there's things all over the house and all over the world they can chew. So maybe an X pen, maybe a little tethering near you while you're sitting calmly with some chew toys. Definitely redirect. A dog that's been in your house 3 months, if that is the case, should still be supervised as if they were a puppy, as far as getting used to the house habits and rules. If you want to take things a step farther, you can scent their toys with some kind of like baking extract that you don't have in the house. So I wouldn't use vanilla. A lot of people like candles or lotion that's vanilla, but maybe use like a butterscotch scent or something. It's got to be edible, baking scent or almond or something, that you put on their toys. So they are also passively learning that the things have this certain smell are theirs, and the things that aren't theirs don't have that smell, because you're going to be redirecting your puppy when they grab something that isn't theirs. And when you put something in their mouth that is theirs, they'll say, oh, eventually they say, oh, everything that smells like almond or butterscotch is legal, and I don't get to chew on the things that don't smell like that. But it sounds like maybe a little bit too much freedom too soon, and that you need an intermediate step between crating and sweet freedom running amok. Keep at it, but and also definitely 100% Kong feeding for 6 months, 3 months. Try it. It'll make a difference.
All right. Carol asks, kind of a change of pace here, is it safe to take a small puppy out in 5-degree weather?
In 5-degree weather. I am not a medical expert. I mean, animals are pretty hardy. I would say yes for short periods of time. You can also get booties if you're afraid that their feet are getting really cold, or if there's salt on the ground, you want to be careful and put kind of booties on their little feet if you've got chemical salt in your area. I wouldn't leave them outside, without some kind of raised platform and soft, comforting, bed. But to go potty, I would say yes. Briefly. Keep them outside for a little bit of time, put a little coat on, and get them to go potty quickly, and bring them back in, warm them up.
All right. What about?
I grew up in Chicago. I lived in Chicago. Our dogs had to go out in minus digits. So we did it, but we just don't leave them out very long.
Mm-hmm. Right. Primarily, I imagine this is for the potty training, right? Get them out, get them peed, get them back in. All right. Sylvia says, I'm still working on my 50-pound, 8-month puppy to not pull on the leash on walks. She is very strong, and I'm starting to have shoulder and wrist pain from her pulling. I've been training her, in quotes, since she was 10 weeks old.
So, yeah, you have an adolescent, large pulley breed. There's so much to do. We have a lot of courses on leash stuff, I think, in the Dunbar Academy, or how to get polite leash walking. It's boring and hard to do at this phase, honestly. I mean, I'm not going to lie. And there's so many different techniques, too many to really list here. Is there on this program, is there a leash walking segment, Jamie, in this 3 days?
Off the top of my head, I can't tell you. None jumps out to me.
But leash walking, it's an art, it's a skill. It's not the most exciting thing to do. Everything from red light, green light, to stopping when there's even a little bit of tension on the leash, or waiting until there's none, and then marking and moving forward to circling around.
So on day 4, we've got Amanda doing training during on-leash walks and off-leash in dog parks.
Yes. Okay, that'll be great, because there's a ton of techniques.
Yeah, we've also got Kamal doing training at home for walks and parks.
So perfect. Okay, so two brilliant people doing this. That, I mean, because there's tons to tell you, and it doesn't all have to be boring, but it can be a little tedious. You got to work slowly and build up, but also you are working at your puppy at probably the most challenging age for that. But it won't get better unless you work on it. So you do have to kind of just forge on. So I'm glad that there are a couple people, because there are tons of things you can do, and probably too much for me to explain in this particular format. But circling back, teaching them hand targeting, lots and lots of things, actually. But I would watch Kamal and Amanda, because they're both really, really good trainers and fun people to watch, and take it from there.
So this is kind of a general question that I've seen come up in a number of different comments, a number of different questions. This idea of my puppy or my adolescent or older dog is behaving and listening to me while I train at home, but then when we go outside, completely lose their attention. They get distracted by other people, other dogs. So do you have any general tips for this very common situation people find themselves in?
Okay, because whenever you're on the volume, the sound is awkward for me. That's why it was good when they're coming up on the screen. But so I didn't hear the beginning age. Is it a puppy that's just starting to go outside, or
Oh
is
no,
it?
this is like we've had like 3 or 4 different questions.
Oh,
I'm
a
kind of
blend of.
grouping them all together. A bunch of people say, "Oh, my dog listens to me at home. I go outside and I lose control."
Well, we do break this down in our essential puppy training course. I don't know whether this part is on the summit or not, but what I can tell you is take it slowly. Yes, it's a giant leap from indoors to outdoors, out in the real world, and most people just take that one leap. Dogs do not generalize well. They're very contextual, or if you want to put a positive spin on it, they are very fine discriminators, and they notice all changes in the environment. And they are olfactory, focused animals, right? Like, I mean, they have eyes, they use eyes, but they're also smelling everything. And the world of smell is I think perhaps richer than the world of vision, right? So they're being bombarded with visuals and scents and sounds. Their senses are so acute. So it's you're taking it from going from like I don't know, like a kindergarten level, exercise indoors to, if you go out to the big wide world, to college level work without anything in between. So we do recommend in the course. You'll see this with Eve, and this is one of the things that actually would be useful regardless of the age of your dog, is how to practice these essential skills of following, focusing, paying attention, walking on leash, giving to little tiny bit of leash pressure, understanding the leash tension. Part of the equation of leash tension is their responsibility to relieve, and then practicing that in your house, and then adding distractions inside before you go outside, and then gradually moving. If you have a hallway that's, if you have a garage, or if you have a backyard, or a front stoop, or if there's an apartment building, a hallway, working in those areas before you go out to the world. And then when you get out in the world, don't just go for a walk. Practice all those skills in a I don't want to say a 50-foot space in front of your house or wherever you are. Drive your puppy in a car, go to a new place and work in a 50-foot space. And don't keep moving through the environment. Focus on getting the skills mastered in small bits. There are different reasons to walk your dog. And I would say, well, I'll give you a few of them. Potty walks, obviously. Training walks, obviously. Teaching them how to be on leash. Enrichment walks, exercise walks, all different kinds. And you can blend these walks together, especially as they get older and better at these things. But initially, I would say potty excursions, and then training walks are the thing you should focus on the most, because until you get a dog that can walk nicely on leash, you're not going to really be able to have fun with the adventures and the excursions and the enrichment and exercise walks, and you'll stop walking your dog, and then things just deteriorate from there. So focus on the training walks. They will enrich your dog's mind, teach good habits, and maybe it's not as fun as hiking in the woods or going down the street to the cafe, but it's the way you get to do those things in just a few months' time, or weeks' time, if you work really hard at getting focused with, create some intentional distractions. Like in our course, Jamie's really good at that. Invite a friend over to ride their bicycle past your house over and over, or to wear a funny hat and honk a horn, like a clown horn or something, and practice that. But you can also practice that in your house. And if you haven't done that and you can't get your puppy to follow you off leash or on leash in your house with, a ball rolling by or somebody walking by and doing a silly walk, you're never going to get them to be able to do it outside. So take it more gradually, break down distractions and new environments and duration, and up your reinforcement history. Lots of rewards for being at your side, and you will get success. It's one of the it's the thing that takes the longest to train, and it's but it's so rewarding when you have a dog that can just be on a light leash that you don't have to hold tightly, or you can just drape over your arm, and you don't have to worry about them.
Yep. Yeah, everyone needs a good training assistant, whether you've got someone else in your household, or you got to invite over a friend. So many things work better if you've got someone around to be an active distraction or help you out. All right, here's a question from Nadine. 6-month-old puppy aggressively possessing items. When you approach, he growls aggressively. Luring away with a high-value treat works, but it feels like I'm teaching him being aggressive is rewarded.
How's aggressively? Oh, items. So a dog that's guarding items. Is that what I'm seeing here on the bottom? Okay.
Yes, indeed.
Luring away. Okay, so 6-month-old puppy that is possessing items is pretty, again, it's within the realm of normal. I mean, possessiveness isn't all bad, right? All dogs had to be able to defend themselves enough to continue to be able to eat, from their mother's, teats, or, when they're fighting in the food bowl, not fighting, but trying to get, make their space in the food bowl and all of that. Like, they have to have some sense of agency and possessiveness. However, of course, some dogs have more than others, and it can get out of control, and we don't have to accept it, but it's normal. And you're not rewarding. I understand why you think you might be making your dog more aggressive or rewarding aggression when you're feeding them in this case. But what we need to do when your dog is possessing something and growling at you or playing keep away, in some cases that's still a form of possession for those of you that maybe don't have a growling dog out there. They're having an emotional response, right? They're having, I would say in a lot of cases, again, this is a normal, natural, and genetic response. Like, this is mine. Creating abundance will lessen their tendencies in most cases, as will just changing their emotional response to you being around their things, right? So we do lots of training exercises. So you're not rewarding them for growling. You're teaching them that there's no need to growl, right? Feel good when I come up to you because I have something better, or equal value or better. And I'm going to exchange this equal or greater value thing for the thing you had. And I'm going to give you back your thing afterwards. Win-win. You can, instead of luring away, so when you're in a jam, when your puppy already has something, and you're like, I need to get that away from him. I would absolutely, say thank you and toss a treat or two away, from the puppy. They'll drop the thing, you pick it up, they come back, do it again, repeat the exercises, get them almost to the point where to the point where they're spitting things out. You say thank you. And I like to use the word thank you. It doesn't matter what word you use, because we tend to be polite and happy when we're saying it, rather than give me that or drop it. Thank you. I'm going to put some food in your face. They learn to open their mouth. It becomes the cue to open their mouth. It becomes the cue to search for something else, and then give it back to them, the thing in question. Unless it's dangerous, of course. If they had something they shouldn't have, then no, say thank you. Get them to drop it, reward them for dropping it, and then get them something more appropriate. But practice this proactively. Walk up to your dog, toss a piece of food right next to them, back off, and don't do anything. Sometimes don't grab for it. I like to also hold chew toys while they're holding them. So it's like, they're chewing and you're holding it. So you have possession as well as they do, so that they're less likely to feel like they can guard something that you're holding and sharing together, but you're not taking it away. Eventually you take your hand off, drop some food, say thank you, let them take the food, pick up the item, and either put it away, give them some more food, put away, or let them have it again. This is definitely the time to practice it. Don't worry that you are making your dog more aggressive or rewarding a growl. You're changing their emotional response by making sure there are plenty of chew toys or whatever it is. There's an abundance of availability of these items, but occasionally they just have to give them to you. And sometimes when they give them to you, they get it right back. And sometimes, not right now or never. If it's, cooked chicken bone or something. But then if they drop a cooked chicken bone for you when you say thank you, holy cow, you better reward them like crazy. Go to the refrigerator, make a giant, display. Oh, that was great. What a good dog. And go and, reward, have a big celebration for such a success.
All right. Catherine asks, I'll be training my puppy from a wheelchair. How would you recommend teaching her to walk politely on a leash from my chair? Any special tips?
How would you recommend teaching her to walk politely on a leash from my chair? Well, that's a good question. That'll be a fun challenge. In some ways, it might be easier. Here, I just threw the gauntlet for you here, Catherine. Because it's such a clear boundary, where your dog should be. Feet, puppies, and a body is one slim thing. They can get around you, go through your legs and jump on you. With a chair, there's a nice solid item right there, and I would just reinforce really heavily for side sitting next to your chair. Side sitting, and you still do the same thing. One roll forward, little bit, one rotation, half a rotation, wheel rotation forward, and reinforce the stopping. A lot of what we do with puppies to get them to walk politely by our side is just reinforcing sit at the side and then eventually putting movement in between. So your puppy is always anticipating and eagerly awaiting when you stop so they can sit and get rewarded, right? And maybe you'll need a leash if your puppy's reactive so that they can't get in front of you or behind you. But you can literally just say, hey, stay at my side, reinforce. Now we're going to move a little bit, and I'm going to feed you when we stop. And just like we take 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, you just do the same thing, but you'll do that with your chair.
All right. We've got a question from Lori. She says, how do I get my 8-month-old adopted girl to stop freaking out at the neighbor dog when we go out back? The fence between us is just a lattice work. She's doing continual barking, lunging, hackles up, just out of control.
Yeah, that's something you certainly don't want them to continue and practice, and it's a pain in the butt when you have a fence fighting issue with a neighbor. And my guess is that the other dog is partaking, if not instigating as well. I mean, ideally, and this is probably too long to handle on a forum like this, but a few tips would be long line with recall practice. Voiding for a little while you practice recalls and maybe go on walks more than in the backyard, or stay on the other side of the yard with the line on for a little while you're working on this. Conditioning that hearing the bark means turn and look at me, don't react, by not allowing that to happen. Don't let them practice in the meantime. So I say long line so that your dog can't rush to the fence and run or fight at the fence. I just had to do this. I have 5 acres. So I have fence lines that have nobody nearby. And there's one where there's some dogs, and one of them is an adolescent now, as is one of my dogs. And they just started going, rah, 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 running this little bit of fence line and in this area. And yeah, we took a few steps back, and she started this when she was about last month, I guess. So maybe she was, 13, 14 months. And I put her back on a long line. I mean, we just need to have 5 fenced acres, and her recalls were beautiful. But she started getting into this because this dog is engaging. They're both engaging. They're kind of in the same mindset. So we spent 2 weeks parading up and down that side with me, with her on a line, and me redirecting her, calling her first very close, just getting her to turn her head every time that she engaged, even looked at the dog, and backed up as far as we could, to keep the distance, to increase the distance, to make it easier for us as we went, and back up a few steps and do that. I would also, maybe you might have to put another barrier in there, or a secondary faux fence, get some snow fencing or some of that wire mesh farm field fence, and add a second barrier in there that will help. If you do something like the snow fencing, it can be very temporary. But you might want to consider in the long run making a little bit of a barrier there, or some bushes. However, if you work hard and don't let it happen in the meantime by taking her out online and working it every time, you can probably stop this in a few weeks' time.
All right. How about this question from Tara? She says, my 14-week-old cane Corso stopped using the bells to let us know he needed to go outside. Now he pees wherever he wants. Any suggestions on retraining?
Okay, Cane Corso. 14-week-old Cane Corso is not using the bells anymore. Okay, so one thing, congratulations on getting your 14-week-old dog to ring the bells so quickly and utilize them. However, at 14 weeks of age, there's no way in heck that they are at all responsible for their potty accidents yet. It's too much too soon. It's too much. It's great that you're getting your puppy in the habit of ringing the bells before they go out, but it is still 100% on you to schedule your potty breaks and be preemptive for them. Too young to be responsible enough, or even know, or be even able to hold his bladder long enough to get and be present of mind enough to get to the door. So you, at 14 weeks of age, your puppy should still be on very tight house training schedule. If you haven't watched Coyote's presentation, I would recommend it, and or look at our essential puppy training course in the Dunbar Academy, where I go through all the steps that you do before you let your puppy have sweet freedom in the house, assuming they're going to let you know. I would not put that responsibility on a large breed dog like that till they're basically about a year old. Doesn't mean it won't improve and that they won't do it a lot of the time, but I wouldn't expect it of a dog until, like a large breed dog like that, until they're about a year old. It's certainly not in a young puppy of any breed. So great that they're learning the bells. Continue using them and having the puppy ring before they go out. However, still confine and supervise and schedule your outings frequently, so that you don't get in this habit where the puppy's just going wherever they are. At 14 weeks, they literally don't have the physical control, full sphincter control of urine and feces, holding their bladder and their poop, let alone the mindfulness that they have to go. It's like a little kid. They're distracted, they're living their life, and suddenly it's an emergency and they're just going. So frequent breaks at 14 weeks, a puppy in my house would still be, if loose, be going out every 30 minutes or so, depending on the dog, maybe up to 45, and or being confined for a little while between breaks to make sure that I can get them to the right area proactively before they go potty in the house.
All right. So we're getting set to wrap up. I know that we were unable to answer everyone's questions today. I'm sorry. I've been trying to prioritize, I don't know if you noticed it, we haven't been going exactly in order. I've been trying to prioritize puppy training questions today. And tomorrow we'll be doing another Q&A with Ian Dunbar. And so if you didn't get your question answered today, sign on tomorrow, and we won't be prioritizing puppy questions. We'll be just taking all the questions about dog training. I think tomorrow's family dog training. But I do have a couple more questions picked out. So this one is from Amy. She says, my 13-week-old puppy growls, barks, and bites when trying to cut her nails or clean her ears. We try to distract her with treats and toys, but nothing works. She's comfortable when we touch her ears and paws.
Yeah, pretty normal. They don't like the equipment. They don't like their nail clippers, and getting into your ears is a bit offensive to them. So it sounds like you're on the right track if she's comfortable with you touching her ears and paws, but isn't comfortable with the process of poking and prodding and cleaning and clipping. So you at this age, you probably don't have to do all of those things all at once, or do it all in one session. So again, this is probably just a case of humans going too far too fast, just like we did with the outside. You can't go from indoor training to real world training, and you can't go from trading quick touches for treats and to actually full on grooming processes. So even if she's okay with you touching her feet and her ears, and maybe even her mouth, I would still be trading touches for treats. In this case, at least one meal a day would be hand fed for handling practice. For classical conditioning purposes, touch one ear and feed, touch one ear and rub it and feed, touch one ear and put the cloth to it, whatever it may be. Settle down. Obviously, work on these things when the puppy's tired at first. In our essential puppy training course, I think in the first session we did with Eve for acclimating her to clippers, did I clip any toenails, Jamie, in the first one?
Not in the very first session, no. In the first session, you let her sniff the clippers, you let her hear the sound of the clippers, and I think maybe you gently tapped a nail.
So successive approximations of what you want your puppy to accept is what you're reinforcing at this point. Don't go from A to Z. Count in the nail clipping process. You have what, at least whether you have dew claws or not, you have at least 20 nails to clip, and maybe more. So do one at a time. Do one a day. Practice holding your puppy, putting their paw in your hand and holding it still without anything else happening. Practice chin rests so your puppy can learn to stay still while you check their teeth and ears, and gradually work this up. You can break this down into probably a 30-step process, and you should, because your puppy is super young, and it'd be great if you just said, okay, time for your ear cleaning, chin rest, ears, and then we're able to clean their ears okay, free, and and then let them do that. So cooperative care classes and there's books and classes and courses on cooperative care in handling. But first, just start with general handling, and don't take any of your touches and pokes and prods for granted. White feet, condition that them to like that by feeding while you do it. Lick mats are a great thing too. These rubber mats that have grooves in them that can be stuck to the wall or stuck to the floor, and you can smear peanut butter or canned food or cream cheese on there, baby food, and you can even freeze it so that they've got to lick at this. It's hard to get the stuff out, and that's what I do with Eve a lot. I put out some peanut butter or canned food and freeze it and put it on a lick mat and stick it on the floor on the wall, and then I do some grooming. And she just busy doing something else. And we do short sessions. We don't, she might need an hour's worth of grooming, but I'm going to do maybe 5 to 10 minutes a day at first until we work up to an hour, which we are up to right now. Actually, I can groom her for an hour, which I got a terrier that needs to be stripped. So we're spending a lot of time on grooming. So I want her to enjoy it.
All right, Kelly, what about, Wendy asks, what about the source of puppies? For example, pet stores or large-scale breeders. How important is that? How important is where you get your puppy?
It's really important. Something that we're quite passionate about at Sirius and Dunbar Academy is, being selective as to where you get your puppy from. The state of the mother while the babies are in utero matters. Is she been stressed out? Are they getting bathed in stressful hormones such as cortisol all the time? Does their mother have social skills because has a life, or is she in a cage somewhere just producing babies like a livestock? What kind of substrate are these puppies sleeping on, and where are they going to the bathroom when they're first born? Hopefully their mother is with them and she's cleaning them, but eventually they start kind of worming away from the nest to go potty as early as they can. And if they are stuck in a cage, they won't happen. We will also, that's just cruel. We don't want to support breeders that aren't treating companion animals, or any animals for that matter, like sentient beings, and companion animals like companions. They should not be raised and warehoused like chattel, and really no animal show. That's a whole other story. Support reputable small breeders, small operations that are doing things for their breeds. Support family dog litters that happen and I know this is not PC to say in a sense, but what I mean is don't just turn your nose up to breeders because shelter dogs need homes. If you're going to get a puppy, look at the source and get them as early as you can. Buying puppies online is pretty dicey. Doesn't mean that some good breeders won't work with you online and won't ship, but ask a lot of questions. Ask to see facilities, ask to see where the mother is being raised. Any good breeder is going to ask you as many questions as you're asking them. So that's a good sign. If they don't ask you any questions, they don't really care, do they? Which means that, they're maybe just doing this for the wrong reason. Breeders need to be responsible for the puppies that they raise, and they should care very much about where they're going to and how they're raised, and be happy to answer any of your questions and show you their setup, basically, and the parents. It's a short answer.
All right, Kelly. Well, thank you very much, Kelly. That was amazing. I feel like you were really on it there for, I think we did about 70 minutes. So thank you for your excellent answers. The time flew by, and I hope a lot of people benefited from that. I want to thank all of our viewers. Thank everyone for joining us.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, those were great questions. We really enjoyed it. And I want everyone to let everyone know that tomorrow is going to be another phenomenal day here on the Dog Training Secrets Summit. Puppy training was great today. Tomorrow is family dog training, and we have some really fantastic presentations. We got Denise Fenzi talking about engagement and relationship building with your dog. We got Kim Brophy talking about how to reduce anxiety in your dog. Justine Schumans doing kids and dogs. Kamal Fernandez doing training a new puppy in multi-dog households. Joe Rosie Haffenden with focus and engagement when training your dog. And Gina Marie Isoldi training service dogs for families. So there's a ton of presentations tomorrow, and they're all fantastic. So if we didn't get the chance to answer your question today, we're going to do another live Q&A with Ian tomorrow. So please come join us. We'll try to get to more of the questions tomorrow. I'll try and keep Ian answering questions in a relatively timely fashion.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, wish me luck. But we'll try to answer as many questions as possible. So thank you everyone for joining us, and yeah, rest up. Tomorrow's another big day. So we'll see you then. Bye, Kelly.
Bye,
everyone.
See you
Thanks
soon.
for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for joining. Happy weekend.
You guys are the best too.